Hey guys, welcome to our new moon in Aries number 2. This is the second consecutive new moon in Aries cycle that we have had in a row. This is not something that happens often. Usually we have one new moon in a certain sign followed by a new moon in the following sign, but because we are in this period of time right now in our unfolding cosmic blueprint that is really playing a major role in transitioning us on a frequency, energy based level into the age of Aquarius. We have some very rare and unique things that are just coming into fruition for us this year, this double new moon in Aries being one of them. Now, the reason why we are having this double new moon in the same sign, the first one we had actually was at 0 degrees of the sign of Aries. That was back on March 21st. Now this one is occurring at 30 degrees of the sign of Aries. Well, technically it's at 29 degrees. So we've had two in, if you know about astrology and degrees in astrology, both 0 degrees and 29 degrees, these are considered the critical degrees of any sign because this is the entry point to a sign and an energy, and this is the exit point to any sign and any energy. So 2 Aries new moons, Aries being the first sign of the zodiac. This is where the spark of life initiates itself, okay? The Aries energy, this is the fuse of the life force that extrapolates to the entire cycle of life that is represented through the archetypes in the zodiac, okay? And when we're talking specifically about the sign of Aries, this is always about something new, something fresh, the beginning of something. It, of course, also every year, the new moon in Aries represents the beginning of a new astrological lunar year based on the sun and the moon coming together in that first sign of Aries. So we really have like 2 beginnings going on this year that are representing, honestly, like much more than just beginnings of this year or, a new spring that is upon us. This is really, we are an end of an era energy. We are in some extreme times of transitions. If you guys have been following my channel, I've been talking about this sort of like on and on and on for the past couple of months and how we are in the end times right now, but also we're in this radical rebirth energy. And that is also a lot of what is being represented and encapsulated by the way that this second new moon in Aries is coming together. This is almost like a second opportunity or a second chance to start something over, to start something again, and to kind of do it right this time. You may also find that there have been some repeating patterns or themes in your life experiences over this past couple days or going on throughout this new moon itself that sort of mirror perhaps things that happened in the end of last month around the 20th, the 21st of March. So there may be elements of your current circumstances or situation or just the life experiences unfolding around you right now, which are to or on some level, to some extent or on some level, mirroring things that began to happen last month. So, if you find yourself having a bit of a deja vu, there is this mirroring effect sort of that's going on because I really feel like, we're getting a second opportunity, we're getting a second chance, and this is the, the final initiation point. This is at that 29 degrees of the sign of Aries. This is really about taking all of the strength and all of the courage and, all of the faith and trust and belief in ourselves that we have gained throughout the course of, this past several months, and also throughout Jupiter's transit through the sign of Aries up until this point, the lessons that we've learned, the experiences that we've sort of overcome through this heightened sense of wisdom that we've gained, wisdom through experience. This is also definitely a major dynamic of the energy that's coming through, and it will benefit us to sort of use this as we are moving forward in this second chance, fresh start energy. So, and it's also like, it's not only just necessarily a second chance, it's like things that started to get off the ground, perhaps that didn't over the course of this past new moon in Aries, may really start moving forward in the energy now. So, all of that being said, a lot of what I have to say in this report today is sort of a reiteration of some of the things that I've been saying over this past new moon in Aries cycle that we are exiting out of now, right? Because like I said, there are a lot of features of this energy that are very reflective of that chart. Okay, but that was the beginning of the beginning. It's like this is like the end of the beginning. And also, moving forward, okay, as we are going through even this day, like there is a very strong indication of like things really starting to tangibly happen now. I'm saying this because another kind of unique thing about this new moon energy, considering that it is happening at the very last degree of the sign of Aries, that means, you guys, that within a few hours of this new moon, the sun and the moon coming into the alignment for the second time in the sign of Aries, which is also a solar eclipse. I need to mention that as well. Solar eclipses also represent like fated beginnings, and on the flip side of that, you know, fated endings that need to take place as well. Well, like basically immediately, like within a few hours after the sun and the moon coming into the alignment at that last critical degree of the sign of Aries, they're both going to move into the sign of Taurus, which is grounding things, right? This is the sign of the builder. This is the sign of the creator. This is where we take what we have to work with and we work with it. We make something with it that can provide some like physical, tangible, like comfort or beauty or stability or abundance in some way. These are the Taurus themes and what the Taurus energy does. So this fresh start energy that is being activated by this new moon in Aries solar eclipse that we have playing out is immediately followed up by this grounding effect, okay? By this change in transition in the way that the energy is flowing, that is grounding it into reality in a way that we can like tangibly work with to build something in alignment with whatever we are trying to move forward. So yes, absolutely, you know, this is energy that is pushing us and propelling us forward. We're talking about, you know, the sun and the moon coming into a relative conjunction with the north node of the moon. And this is also energy that's going to be playing out over these next couple of days as the sun enters the sign of Taurus and really comes into that conjunction with the north node, which the north node is right now at 5 degrees of Taurus, and the sun will come to 1 degree of Taurus today. So over the next couple of days, this energy will be building as well. Of course, I should say that is what gives us our eclipses when we have a new moon or a full moon that are happening within a, you know, very close proximity to the nodes of the moon. And this is also a new beginning in terms of the eclipse cycles that we're going to be experiencing over the next year and a half. This is an eclipse that is happening, of course, the sun and the moon in the sign of Aries, 30 degrees of Aries. While the nodes are still in Taurus and Scorpio, the new moon itself, the eclipse itself, is happening at that very last degree of the sign of Aries. Now, the nodes always move backwards through the zodiac. So, and they represent, in case you're unaware, you know, of the nodes themselves, this is a destiny and karma. This is the future and the past. This is where we're sort of being compulsively pulled towards on a level that is like really trying to pull our soul growth out of us pretty much at any cost, you know. And the south node, this is what we've learned and what we become accustomed to and what we become comfortable with and attached to through, you know, these repeating cycles of experiences that when we have south node and north node activated, this is a need to detach from the past in order to pursue the growth and the future path that is pulling us toward itself. The nodes of the moon, Rahu and Ketu, the north node and the south node, these can be, well, they have a tendency in more ancient astrology to be known as sort of malefic energies, and it's because there's such like a compulsive, out of control nature to them, I believe. This is really just, I mean, destiny and karma, right? This is sort of like the hand of God orchestrating things and us having a lot of times very little control over the nature of events that happen in alignment with their activations. This is, you know, really like pushing us forcefully and compulsively towards, you know, whatever lesson or whatever experience that our soul needs to go through in order to go through this phase of growth with the north node. And then with the south node, it can also just be these more challenging karmic experiences that we are needing to release and move on from. So a lot of times the nodes are these very powerful influences that are not necessarily seen as being like all that pleasurable, you know, especially perhaps in the sign of Taurus, which is the comfort and the comfort zone. With the north node here, like when things are happening to inspire that growth, like it could be knocking us out of our comfort zone. a little bit. But with the North Node in Taurus, this is also because we need to discover how to stabilize ourselves and how to like use our own internal resources to create that sense of, you know, comfort externally. This is where we figure out how to be resourceful internally so that we can rely on ourselves and be less susceptible to external forces disrupting our comfort zone. So, you know, that being said, some of these changes that we're going through right now may really be sort of upsetting status quos or upsetting, you know, comfort levels, pulling us out of our comfort zone, but they are simultaneously pulling us towards this next phase of soul growth in alignment with this cosmic blueprint that is unfolding right now, in alignment with us actually finding our purpose and activating our destiny and like really finding out how to live a much more fulfilling expression of our own energy in our lives and our experiences. We're learning how to co-create, you guys, and this is the process that universe is taking us through. This is the school. These are the lessons that are bringing us, refining us, purifying us, and bringing us to that level. There's a major dynamic of like soul purification, purging old past toxic emotions and emotional attachments and faulty belief systems and stuff like that that have been keeping us out of our power and holding us back from this process of growth that are very relevant in this new moon energy as it's playing out as well. Now, in terms of the specific aspects that we have going on with this new moon, let's talk about the groundwork. New moon number 2 in the sign of Aries, exactly happening at 29 degrees, 50 minutes of the sign of Aries. That is where the sun and the moon are coming into alignment. I will be reading, of course, the Sabian symbol for 30 Aries when we are talking about the symbolism associated with this new moon, because when we look at the Sabian symbols, we are always rounding up a degree. So we will look at that. This is happening Thursday, April 20th, 2023 at 12:13 p.m. Eastern time here in the United States, although it may be happening on the 19th, also depending on where in the world you are, you know, whenever this is happening. I find it interesting because if you guys remember, and I'm going to be completely honest, I didn't have time to look back in my notes or look back at my previous video and get the exact data that I'm talking about right now, but I'm pretty sure I remember from a month ago when I did my first new moon in Aries video, I think that the time that that new moon was exact, it was a progression of numbers, and I think it was 12:34, either in the afternoon or the morning. I don't remember, but there was something about a progression of numbers. I'm pretty sure, I could be completely wrong, I could be getting it confused with something else, but I'm pretty positive that that new moon happened at a numerological time that was expressing a progression of events happening. And now for this new moon, we also have a numerological time expressing as a progression of events. It's at 12:13 a.m. I don't know if any of you guys study or follow Mayan astrology. That is also something, that was actually my entry into astrology. I've been studying Mayan astrology for a very, very long period of time. I don't know why I don't talk about it on this channel. I should talk about it more. Honestly, I think it's just because I don't have enough time. That's like a whole nother thing, and I don't even have enough time to get into it because these videos are already too long. But if you know anything about Mayan astrology, then you know that it's based on a series of 20 glyphs and 13 numbers, 20 symbols and 13 numbers that are like a wheel within a wheel and are juxtaposed to each other, and that's how you read any day sign according to the Solkin. Now, which is the one of the very mystical, magical, like Mayan astrology calendars, okay? So when we're talking about the Tolkien and we're talking about Mayan astrology, the numerology 13 is the highest number in their particular cycle, and it is the number of like evolution and completion, and you know, everything is according to a spiral of evolution in that system of timekeeping and astrology, and 13 is the bridge between the previous expression and the expression that's coming in next. And so, you know, 13 is the highest number before we go back to the 1. And so, you know, just as it's from an astrological, or sorry, from a numerological energetic perspective, when I'm looking at the entirety of the energetic sort of thumbprint of this new moon as it's playing out, and then I see that it's happening at 12:13 specifically a.m. And of course, you know, this is Eastern time. It's not going to be that for everywhere, obviously, but that's where I am doing this interpretation from. So that is what is applicable to, the way that this information is coming together for me in this moment. That is talking to me about like a progression into the next world, like a progression into the next way of being, like the transition and the bridge, the 12, the 13, and then we go back to the 1, right? These are these endings and these new beginnings, but coming from this much more evolved energetic place, having come up a rung on the spiral, ready to bridge ourselves into like this rebirth process, but from a much just more consciously elevated and aware and evolved energetic dimension of things. So as this chart and as this numerology is communicating vibrationally to me, I see even the time that this is coming together as significant in representing these repetitive themes that are just over and over and over and over. Like when you read astrology, okay, like, or at least for me, when I'm reading a birth chart, and I'll tell you guys, I'm not doing personal readings right now. I literally just don't have time. I would like to do personal readings at some time in the future, perhaps, but I have a lot going on and they take me a very long time. I put a lot of time and energy into any personal reading ever that I'm doing. And I just feel like I'm playing a more effective role right now by getting this information out kind of like on a larger scale. Maybe at some point in the future, I don't know, I'm also thinking about perhaps like maybe starting like a Patreon or something like that where I can just have more like direct, communication with you guys, or I don't know. If you guys would be interested in anything like that, let me know. But in terms of personal readings, it's just not something that I have like the bandwidth to be able to do right now. But the reason I'm saying this, like whenever I'm reading astrology, whenever I'm looking at a chart, I always find, that once I get into it and once I kind of like immerse myself and like merge with the energy of that chart, it always comes back to these repeating patterns. Like you will see the same themes playing out over and over and over. It'll be like every character in the story, like every planet in the chart through its interactions or its sign placements or this or that, like somehow relating back to these same overlying overall themes. And the same thing, of course, goes with this chart for this new moon. Like it is just the epitome of this energy representing transition, endings and beginnings, graduating, moving on, the end of an era, loss perhaps, and having to navigate and release and, deal with some more difficult emotions, but also this extreme future focus and these new opportunities and this new world that we are like actively creating and that is like actively unfolding right in front of us while the path behind us is like falling away. It's like I have this visual in my mind when I think about this energy. It's like we're walking a path, right? And it's like with every step we take, the road behind us like disintegrates and there's nothing out in front of us. But it's like every time we go to put our foot down to take that step forward, the like road magically forms under our foot, like right at the time that we need to take that step. So it's like we're constantly walking on air kind of, but it's like we always have this stable grounding under us as well. Like we're, the past is rapidly evaporating behind us, but the future is rapidly manifesting and coming into fruition like right ahead of where we need it to be. This is a time to be hopeful, you guys. This is a new moon in Aries that is happening in a conjunction to Jupiter. Now, granted, it's a 5-degree orb. It's not like a super, super tight conjunction, but it's there. Jupiter is large and in charge. Like, it is enough of a conjunction where I feel like, blessings are essentially promised in this energy. And I'm going to tell you guys something. Ever since yesterday, I was like thinking about this energy and it just sort of like, that saying, April showers bring May flowers. I just feel like it's very relevant right now. And I know that's like very silly and it's just like this little nursery rhyme, but there's a lot of emotional energy that is going on right now. There's a lot of release. There's a lot of purging that's going on. And I do feel like, like I said, like the more difficult emotions or like the tears that we're crying now or, the storms that we are navigating right now are going to lead ultimately to some type of beautiful new growth that is coming within these next couple of weeks. So all of that being said, let me just tell you guys specifically the aspects that we have going on for this new moon. I'm going to go through some of the just general themes that I wrote down that kind of came to me that I felt like were representative of this energy. And then we're just going to talk about this chart summarized and, you know, see what could potentially be coming for us or coming at us or working with us or coming, you know, what we could be being blessed with as well throughout the course of this time. So we have, like I said, this new moon is happening, number one, okay, it is happening in a square to Pluto. This is almost exact square. It is out of sign. That should, to like some extent, alleviate some of perhaps the, you know, extreme challenge that it may provide, indicate, or, you know, trigger, okay, on some level. But we do have to keep in mind Pluto is at 1 degree of Aquarius right now. Immediately I said as soon as this eclipse new moon happens, the sun within a few hours will move to that 1 degree of Taurus. So what we're rooting, okay, these new beginnings that are going to be rooted throughout, from now, you know, throughout the course of this next cycle, are definitely causing some Pluto purge, purification, like major change, major transformation. Like this is profound, powerful stuff that we got going on, okay? Secondly, it is, like I said, happening in a loose conjunction to Jupiter. This is positive. Wisdom through experience, you guys. Moving forward, I'm telling you, moving forward in this new direction, as we proceed with the path ahead that universe is laying before us at this point in time, these steps that we are taking, moving ourselves forward, we will have the most success. We will have the most luck. We will have, for sure, the best outcomes if we are applying the wisdom we have gained through the lessons we've experienced up until this point. That is kind of what universe is testing us to see if we are ready to apply or not. If we are moving forward in a way that is guided by our wisdom, our experience, and our higher knowing, our higher selves, our intuition, our spiritual connection, and staying true to that, the Mayflowers are going to be very beautiful. Okay, we also have Mars, all right, ruling the new moon in Aries. Of course, Aries is ruled by Mars in the sign of Cancer right now. This is translating into, okay, there's something to do with the way that we are using our emotional energy that is undergoing this massive transformation as well. Mars ruling our energy and being the sign of Cancer, the sign of the moon, this very emotional energy. If you guys watched my video from yesterday, I was talking about this Mars moon mutual reception energy that we also have playing out momentarily over the course of the next couple months. Whenever the moon is transiting either Aries or Scorpio, we're going to be in this moon Mars mutual reception energy. I talked a lot about that in my video yesterday. I don't really want to expand on it too much here for the sake of time, but this is a very like energized emotional response to things and an extreme internal urge or will or compulsion to, you know, defend ourselves or our family or our community can also bring, you know, conflict and attacks in those type of realms as well. There's a lot to do with that. And like I said, you know, check back on that video because that energy is playing into what we have coming at us in the realms of this new moon as it's unfolding as well. So the other thing though is Mars in the sign of Cancer, we have a sustained exact trine going on right now between the South Node and Saturn and the other water signs, Pisces and Scorpio. Mars is no longer in that exact trine. However, by sign, he is. And Mars's energy, the South Node is karma, right? And the past implicated in the eclipse and this new moon itself. Saturn is also karma, the Lord of Time, has to do with the past, has to do with structures, foundations, the control mechanisms and the things that have been in place for the frameworks of our reality, like the what's been in place for very long periods of time, especially in terms of our belief systems in the sign of Pisces and the South Node. This is emotional attachments from the past in the sign of Scorpio that perhaps have been stealing our power. And then we've got Mars in the sign of Cancer. How can we use our energy to break ourselves free from belief systems that have been keeping us attached to emotional programming or complexes or cycles or patterns of behavior that are hindering our growth, that are stealing our power, and that keeping us out of our higher truth, okay? That is definitely another dimension of what this Aries new moon number 2 itself is trying to bring out of us, or trying to give us an idea of, or help us create a better awareness of, help us to understand, so that we can move ourselves forward in this new direction, coming from this much more authentic place in alignment with a tremendously greater sense of self-awareness. Now, bringing up self-awareness, we also need to mention the fact that Mercury is also preparing to go retrograde tomorrow, the day on the 21st, the day following the new moon, in a conjunction to Uranus. This is mental awakening, okay? This is also happening in the sign of Taurus, which is ruled by the planet Venus. We also have the North Node in the sign of Taurus, right? And the sun will also be moving, and the moon as well will also be moving to the sign of Taurus, directly following this full moon, or this new moon. So we have this extreme emphasis on this Taurus influence in terms of the way our mind is working, with Uranus giving us this conscious awakening. And it's in the sign of Taurus, right? So it's like a conscious awakening, or shifting, suddenly changing, like opening our eyes to something in regards to what? The sign of Taurus. The truth of our value, the truth of our potential, the truth of our talents, the truth of our purpose, the truth of our resources, and what we can build, what we can create with those to, to what? Taurus, to stabilize or beautify or create comfort in our physical 3D reality world around us. Bringing it back to a lot of what these new endeavors that we are moving towards, and these opportunities that are coming to us right now, are also trying to teach us and sort of propel us towards and ground us in, with the energy transitioning to the Taurus frequency right after our second new moon in Aries, like propelling us forward. That is a solar eclipse conjunct the North Node, which is this point about this growth, this extreme growth, okay? This is representing extreme growth in a brand new direction that is much more in alignment with the truth of our soul's purpose. But it's just like, in order to get there, it may be kind of uncomfortable, and it may be very triggering. It may really be bringing up sort of like a sense of like the unknown. And again, though, there is this need to be able to trust and to be able to have faith. The new moon in a conjunction to Jupiter, trust, faith, confidence, belief in ourselves, belief in higher power, like this is going to help us through this period of time as well. Now, all of that being said, these are some general themes that I feel like are relevant for this energy. As I just mentioned, this is asking us to trust where this new path is leading us. It's asking us to trust that as that road crumbles behind us, that we don't even have to look, and we know that when we take a step forward, there will be a solid ground under our feet, and we will have everything we need, as long as we are, again, acting from our wisdom, from our experience, from our intuition, and a connection, to what we know is right, okay, to that moral compass, to that higher self, that higher sense of knowing, that like spiritual guidance, okay, or however things are presenting themselves to us at this period of time. We need to have faith that things are unfolding in alignment with a higher plan that is truly beneficial to our growth. Now, growth is not, of course, always the most comfortable thing, right? Like, growing pains are called growing pains for a reason, but ultimately Uranus is very at play. Uranus is in this sign of Taurus. Uranus is the dominant energy that we're going to be dealing with throughout Taurus season that we are moving towards right now. And that is all about this silver lining energy, blessings in disguise, things not being as they appear, but ultimately being so much better than we ever could have anticipated or thought. This is, unimaginable blessings that come through chaos or uncertainty, or just not knowing what's going to happen next. But it will end up being one of the things that ultimately changed our lives for the better when we look back on this period of time at the end of the day, when all is said and done. So as I've been saying, this could definitely be triggering some emotional turmoil that needs to be released. There could be this sense of electricity or like static kind of also in the air. honestly, like over this past couple days, definitely throughout this week, but I feel like kind of throughout the course of this Mercury retrograde cycle as well, with Mercury being in the conjunction to Uranus, stationing to go retrograde for this new moon, frequency-based devices may be really struggling to get a clear signal. I know that's something that I've been having some issues with this past couple days, and it's just indicated by the Mercury-Uranus, Mercury about to go retrograde, all of this high frequency based emotional energy also kind of like spazzing out there. Everything is vibrationally electrified sort of right now, especially again on the like high pitched, high speed, high frequency mentalized based levels. Having faith, taking practical action to move ourselves forward. This may be very like, this is sort of the therapeutic tool that we need to ground ourselves with at this period of time, and staying grounded, doing our best to stay grounded in this energy will definitely help as well. There is this force propelling us forwards towards this change, towards this transformation for the purpose of self-empowerment. The square to Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. Pluto is about to begin a 20-year transit of the sign of Aquarius, which is all about restoring the power to the individual on these very deep and internalized levels that then extrapolates out to the greater whole of humanity. This is returning power to the collective of humanity in correspondence with the age of Aquarius, which is what? Which is also all about what? It's all about the individual in the context of the overall whole. It's about the self-empowered individual being of service to the greater good of humanity, and, you know, activated purpose and activated destiny and the levels of personal fulfillment that we experience in this reality and magnetize and create in our lives as a result of that. So it's all good. It's a win-win scenario all the way around when we embrace this frequency, go through this self-actualization hero's journey process, you know, activate our destiny, get into alignment with our purpose and, you know, the divine vision of who and what we could truly be, start living that, consciously creating our reality, okay? Like, this is going to bring a whole new level of fulfillment and joy to our life experience, you know, which is ultimately the goal, right? Like, this is how we bring the golden age back to the realms of humanity in this world and on this planet. So it's our job right now, you guys. It's a pretty lofty job. We got some big goals, but we've got Jupiter there that's helping us. We got Pluto that's really helping us. All of this is helping us. It's just, we are the ones, right? Like, we're, you know, this generation right now is playing a very active role in the changes that are to come going forward. And so we're just going through it, you guys. It's one of those moments that is pushing us off this cliff, and we are finding out that we actually had wings and could fly this whole time, finding sudden ways and uncomfortable ways to show us our personal truth, to show us our personal power, and to actually level us up. Trust is everything with the conjunction to Jupiter going on in the sign of Aries, in ourselves and in our capabilities, and also in the universe. As I said, this April showers brings May flowers. I keep just thinking that, keeps like running through my head with the ongoing trine in water energy. Saturn, South Node, also Mars ruling this new moon in the sign, in the water signs. The tears that we're crying now, the difficult emotions we are experiencing, that we are transmuting, that we are releasing, that we are alchemizing, will lead to some type of fruitful, abundant, productive, or beautiful growth next month during Taurus season, and also when Jupiter enters the sign of Taurus. So endings and beginnings, you guys, 12, 13, and then we're going to the 1, right? Mars in Cancer. Let's talk about the ruler of this chart, of this energy in a little more detail. How are we using our emotional energy? What do we care about? How are we caring for ourselves and others? And what is worth fighting to protect and to defend? And this is likely to be in relation, again, we're talking about the sign of Cancer. Home, family, community, mother, reproduction, issues with the womb, family values and stuff like that, especially with all the energy about to move into the sign of Taurus, which rules our values. There could be a very like fired up sense of, you know, family values, or like community-based values, or like female, feminine oriented values that are sort of causing either conflict or are just like triggering some type of defensive or offensive effort. Or passionate, also passionate. These are themes that are likely to be a focal point, okay, over the course of this next month, also the next 6 months because we were in eclipse. And of course, throughout the rest of Mars's transit through the sign of Cancer, because that is always what is sort of indicated with Mars in the sign of Cancer. So themes of both attacks on and defending things related to home, family, community, stuff like that. But fast-paced change. It is bringing these fast-paced changes. Not only are we at the Aries new moon number 2, which is, you know, the if we're shooting it bow and an arrow, it's like this is where we pulled it back and we are releasing it, and it is like shooting towards its target. This is the go point in time. But I will tell you also, with it being an eclipse, and I saw this in my video for yesterday, I do think it behooves us to sort of take a step back, be less maybe action oriented in this energy, and kind of just like see how things fall into place for us before maybe taking the reins and steering ourselves in a certain direction. We kind of want to ride the tides, you know, like go with the flow of what universe is serving us at this period of time and sort of like make the most of it instead of trying to like actively force things to happen, because it's the nodes, right? Like universe has a plan. This is divine timing. Like that's what this is. Like things that are happening right now, like this is when they need to happen in order so that the rest of the plan can come into fruition. We don't want to be using our free will to sort of like interfere with whatever plan universe might have right now. We are better, it's a better use of our energy to, you know, like I said, respond to whatever we're being served in the best way that we can based on this wisdom that we've gained through experience in alignment with our intuition and like a higher knowing, our higher selves, and what we like really feel is like the best choice and the best decision with the least karmic repercussions going forward. This is a karmic cleansing as well, you guys. So we just really need to keep that in mind. We need to do what's right, not what's easy. That's another major lesson of this period of time. Making the hard choices that are the right choices will bring those Mayflowers, I feel. So, you know, it's also the new moon happening in the sign of Aries, and then literally within a couple of hours switches into the sign of Taurus. Not only are we at 12:13, which is talking about this immediate progression of change and energy, not only are we in new moon in Aries, this is talking about this very fresh rebirth, restart, going out in a new direction, launching out in something new type of energy. We're also talking about, you know, in a square to Pluto, which is this purge, purification, major transformation, endings and beginnings type of energy. But we're also talking about, as I said, the transition from the Aries energy to the Taurus energy within hours of this activation happening as well. So that is also like a major energetic shift that is happening literally the same day. And then the very next day, we have Mercury going retrograde, which is in a conjunction to Uranus, which is radical mental changes and shifts going on. So literally everything about this chart says big things, new beginnings, fresh starts, new opportunities here now, happening now, not something that we need to wait on. This is like, you know, one thing after another. Like I've said, these cascading endings and beginnings that just keep coming through. And again, like this chart is over and over and over, just a pattern, an energetic pattern that is representing endings, transformations, and growth. Release, change, growth. That is what this is all about. And to accentuate that even more, let's talk about some symbolism that is associated with this chart today. Like it is very, honestly, like a little bit profound. I feel like the way that the symbolism is coming through, especially in terms of the placements of Venus and Mars, which are ruling the ecliptic that we are on right now, the Libra and Aries axis. Aries ruled by, of course, Mars, Libra, of course, ruled by Venus, and also ruling the position of the planets themselves, you know, the new moon happening in the sign of Aries ruled by Mars, immediately transitioning into the sign of Taurus ruled by Venus. So actually Mars and Venus, some very big players today, and Venus happens to be actually at one of my favorite degrees in the zodiac for this moment in time, for this new moon that we have, 11 Gemini. I like this degree because to me it's like 11-11, because, you know, Gemini, the twins, like the glyph is like an 11. And it's about, you know, mirroring, and like it has a lot to do also, you know, with the numerology of the number 11. And then this is 11 degrees of Gemini. So 11 Gemini, I always kind of just feel a sort of affinity for this particular degree. And the symbol of that degree is newly opened lands offer the pioneer new opportunities for experience. So this Sabian kind of cracks me up in the context of this chart today, because we're talking about a new moon in Aries. What is Aries commonly referred to as? The sign of the pioneer. And so I feel like the position of Venus, who is gaining strength and prominence right now, like I said, all of these planets are about to enter Taurus. We also have the North Node, Uranus, and Mercury about to go direct in the sign of Taurus. We're about to have 5 planets in Taurus immediately following this new moon. 5 is also a number of repeating patterns, you guys. 5 is also a number of dynamic change, okay? 5 planets in the sign of Taurus, dynamic change to like our status quo, our comfort zone perhaps, but in a way that is moving us forward towards this new growth that is coming in a more authentic and organic way in alignment with our true potential. It's coming through everywhere. But anyways, with all of these planets moving into the sign ruled by Venus, with her at this degree, like I feel like this Sabian is kind of encapsulating the entire vibe of this overall moon. I'm going to read it again. Newly opened lands offer the pioneer new opportunities for experience. It sums up the vibe of this chart perfectly to me. We're talking about the pioneer, like I said, classical representation by the Aries energy and archetype. We're talking about opened lands as well, fertile grounds to cultivate potential, to grow, to create, to build. What is that energy, you guys? That's Taurus. This specific 11 Gemini Sabian symbol is so Aries Taurus influenced. Like it just resonates to both of those energies so well. And I feel like it's really describing in a lot of ways where we're at right now. So we are the pioneers, you guys. We are discovering the new world, and we are creating this new world, the new world that we are creating for ourselves through this personal transformation, our own personal transformation that we are going through right now, and all of the opportunities that universe is opening up to us as a result of pioneering out in this new direction with this Aries new moon energy. So that is, I feel like, very interesting and specific. We also have the position of Mars, okay? 14 degrees of Cancer. That Sabian symbol is as opposed to the energy of Venus, right? Which is what we're transitioning into. That is the progression. We're moving from the Aries and we're moving into the Taurus energy, right? We're going from the 12, we're going to the 13. 14 degrees where, and then we're talking about 14, okay? 14 degrees of Cancer where Mars is, a very old man facing a vast dark space to the northeast. So, okay, although new beginnings, new opportunities, we're pioneering out in this new direction, right? All of this rebirth energy coming through, there could also be themes of loss, themes of ending, working to purify us on that soul-based level. This could be a highly emotional time. We may find ourselves like randomly crying or being hit in sort of the heart by things that are just like coming up from the past, nostalgia, sadness, loss, like things that we haven't properly grieved for in the past, maybe kind of just like hitting us out of nowhere and just coming out, spilling out, this like April shower type of energy, right? But with Mars at that degree, like this is definitely talking about like things from the past, or things that have been lingering for long periods of time, or things that are coming to an end, and perhaps the sense of staring into the shadows, or staring into the void, or staring into the unknown, or not necessarily being able to grasp what's coming next, or just like on this more emotional level. Mars in the sign of Cancer, ruling the new moon, our emotional energy being sort of wrapped up in like tying up loose ends, or culminating things, or, you know, processing or purging old emotional pain and wounding that maybe kept us trapped in a state of like darkness or negativity or void or something like that. We've got Venus talking about these brand new beginnings, and Mars is talking about the very old. And remember, Mars, Venus, Aries, Libra, the next year and a half of our eclipse cycles as well are also on that specific ecliptic, that energetic axis. So releasing the old version of ourselves so that we can grow into who we've always been meant to become, so that we can become the pioneer and create this new reality and embrace these new opportunities coming from a purified state in regards to the things and the pains and the issues that maybe we had been holding on to, or the past attachments again that may have been stealing our power. April showers bring May flowers. What we release now is aiding in the growth of what to come. Also, we need to remember that we do have this Pluto square setting up. It is going to be exact. You know, that is a powerful force and influence as well. That's the breakdown. Also, like heavy machinery and stuff like that has a tendency of malfunctioning when we have like Sun Pluto stuff. So if you can't like get your stuff to work today, especially with Mercury about to go retrograde as well, kind of just let it, you know, don't try to force it. Things are just likely to sort of be, like I said, static, not working properly, like an electrified sense of like just stimulation going on, just like things, I don't know, I kind of just feel like we're sort of prime for, you know, disruptions and malfunctions and stuff like that in this energy as well. But, you know, with that square coming through, this is a major dynamic of this eclipse, of this new moon as well. Purge, release, transformation, power struggles for sure. I'll tell you guys the best way, okay? I've already said that we need to use the combination, and it's also interesting. The position actually of the Earth today, which I didn't say, in an opposition, an exact opposition to the new moon itself, because the Earth is always in a polar opposition to the sun, and of course the moon is there today. That is at 30 degrees of Libra, and that sign, that Sabian symbol, is 3 mounds of knowledge on the philosopher's head. And I just keep thinking about, you know, this wisdom, this experience, and this intuition, like these 3 components that we are needing to sort of guide ourselves forward, also being represented. Like that's literally the position of the Earth today, like what we need to apply on the ground in our experience to get the most use out of this energy. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that before I forgot as well. But I do want to tell you guys, I do think the best way that we can use this energy, aside from applying, you know, those 3 strategies in our maneuvering of whatever is coming up right now, is to allow ourselves to let go of old patterns of behavior that whatever is coming up right now is like demonstrating to us or is showing us are not effective or not efficient or are just like not working for us or are basically invalid, again, based on the circumstances that are playing out. With the square to Pluto and everything that's going on, we may be, and also, you know, even the South Node, all the karmic stuff, like there may be like, it may be sort of boiling down to kind of like a basic lesson that we are realizing that we need to let something go, or a behavior that we need to move on from, or something that we just can't do or we can't say, or, you know, again, like we can't conduct ourselves in terms of anymore like that. And being able to take that advice, being able to let it go, this is going to facilitate the space and energy for this positive change, for this rebirth, for all this newness energy to be able to come to us. So yes, you know, it's a lot. There's likely to be a lot happening. Again, like eclipse season, this is just this highly fated, divinely timed, divinely aligned things happening. I don't think this is, you know, it's necessarily in our best interest to be like the active forcer and pursuer of things right now. I also don't think that we want to be overreacting to things emotionally right now. I think that we kind of, like I said, want to sort of let the cards fall, sit back and see what happens, and then coming from our place of wisdom through experience, choose, and in alignment with our intuition, like our gut feeling as well, choose what is in our best interest to do next, what will move us forward, and what will help us to ground some of these new beginnings into a more tangible, like 3D practical reality that we can actually utilize for ourselves. We also, I should say, the position of the sun and the moon itself today for the new moon, 30 degrees of Aries. That Sabian symbol is a duck pond and its brood, which again to me is bringing up these feelings and this like sort of like community family based sentiment and a need to trust the process. We are headed to calmer waters where we are safe and where we are able to create and sort of like nest securely. You know what I mean? Family and community, as I said, kind of coming through with this as well. But this duck pond and its brood, like, there is no harm or no threat that is being spoken of. This is just a safe place to, you know, nurture and to grow. And that is what, you know, I feel like ultimately we are working towards as well, with all of this Taurus energy that's about to be coming in, and Mars also in the sign of Cancer, trying to create a stable and secure way to sort of get our roots and lay these new foundations, right? Saturn, while it's in the trine with the south node, also forming an exact sextile to the north node. While the path behind us is disintegrating, we're simultaneously laying the new foundations that are going to carry us forward, and it's Saturn. So this is, you know, these are new legacies, okay? These are new generational cycles that we are beginning right now on that next rung up, on that next spiral up, on that evolutionary course. We are upgrading, we are up leveling what we will create and what we will also leave behind going forward. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. That is how I feel like all of this is coming together. April showers bring May flowers. The struggles and like what we're transversing and what we're letting go of, and the more difficult things that we are navigating now are creating actually a very fertile and conducive environment for some real true growth and alignment with like beauty and productivity and value going forward. So we're releasing the old, we are embracing the new, we are having hope, we are having confidence in ourselves, we are being willing to take a risk, we're not looking back, we're trusting the process, we're understanding our capabilities, and we're willing to fight and defend, you know, what's important to us, what we care about, what we believe in, and who we're becoming now, and our right to be in alignment with the truth of who we are and to begin to create from that much more authentic place going forward. And honestly, this is setting us up for success in multiple ways as well, because it's also preparing us to be in a more self-reliant, personally resourceful, more personally stable place for, you know, as we proceed through the rest of 2023. And we also may have to go through some more bumpy times in terms of the impending collapse of our external matrix right now as well. So we are going through a process of internalized personal growth and self-empowerment in alignment with rediscoveries of personal truth. There's also likely to be a lot of like off the wall focus, stories, news, information, crazy, unexpected, shocking stuff, information, like things coming to us, conversations. Also a focus on the new, the different, and the innovative right now with Mercury and Uranus together. I'm honestly like not surprised at all that there has been such a major focus sort of like on AI and stuff lately in the news and in the headlines with Pluto and Aquarius and Mercury, Uranus together. I feel like that's going to continue to be like a growing themes, as well as just a focus on the sky and on also like energy and technology, innovation and stuff like that. Generally, we're going to see that build as well. So that's what I'm going to say, you guys. I am going to grab us a synchronicity card now to get just a word of advice from God, Spirit, Universe. What sort of like a mantra we can use? What do we need to keep in mind during this period of time? What additional information can benefit us? We got two cards coming out, and they say they say focus and they say trust. And I feel like trust has been a major theme that has been coming through in the patterns being represented in this chart as well. So we'll read focus first. It says focus. Thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Isaiah 26:3. Focus your thoughts on God and that part of you that is God. Tune in on God and his serenity over your life. When you can still your mind and think of God and be at peace in your mind, everything around you will fall into a peaceful routine in your home life, your business, and all aspects of your life. Stay in this state of mind and you will prosper beyond your wildest dreams. So maybe this is in alignment with these mentalized shifts that need to go on right now, as well as how we are using our energy generally with, you know, Mars being implicated in this new moon. And then trust. It says, trust also in him, Psalm 37:5. Trust in God to lead you to the person you need to fulfill your needs. Make certain you are the type of person that person would wish to associate with. Make certain you have defined your needs and desires before you make your request. Remember, all things are possible through God. So we need to keep our focus, our mind in the right place, okay? And it's a future-oriented focus. When we have Mercury and Uranus together, like, you can't help it. Like, it's just how it is. Like, there is a mentalized, future-oriented focus going on. And, you know, as it says, we need to focus also Saturn in the sign of Pisces, adherence to the spiritual connection, benefiting us so much. Also, in the conjunction to Jupiter, our faith, our trust, our belief in ourselves and the unfolding plan and universe and a higher power, going to be very beneficial to us at this period of time. So trust and focus, you guys. It's what we need to keep in mind. That's what I have to say for the show today, for this new moon energy. Hope you guys liked it. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up, you guys. Subscribe to my channel. Share it with your friends if you feel like they would benefit from this type of information or be entertained by it, interested in it as well. Leave me comments, you guys. If you guys are having experiences that are playing out in alignment with what I've been talking about in this reports, definitely let me know. I really appreciate, you know, just hearing what's going on with you guys as well. I love you guys so much. I have a Facebook page, a Facebook group, Instagram, some other social media stuff in my description box below if you're interested in any of that. Come back with me tomorrow, you guys. I should be back yet again. We need to talk about Mercury stationing retrograde as well. So moving forward with there's this very big, again, like rare week of astrology going on. So I will be here to talk about it. You should be here too. You don't want to miss it. I will see you then, guys. Have a beautiful new moon and Aries solar eclipse. And until next time, bye, guys.